Hello and welcome to my channel. It's nice to have you. My name is Jo and this is Joey Sewy, where I talk about sewing, knitting, creativity and life. Now today we have a fabric haul. And it's not just any fabric haul, but I'm calling it my summer basics fabric haul because I was extremely restrained and I was just shopping for basics. In previous videos, quite recently, you'll have seen me making some patterned tops using quite bright colours and a few. I think the last fabric haul I did was called my super bright fabric haul. I haven't sewed with all of those fabrics yet, but I felt like I got to a place in my sewing this year where I'd done loads and loads of beautiful patterned things, which is great, I love those, but I was starting to kind of unbalance my wardrobe and I needed to kind of up the basics, up the plain solid colours so that I had things to wear with other things. Yeah, so it's all about balancing out my wardrobe. So let's get into the fabric haul. All of these items are from two different places. One is from an eBay supplier and everything else is from a shop called the Shuttle Shipley, which is a bricks and mortars shop. It's in the town called Shipley, which is in West Yorkshire in the UK. Unfortunately, they have no online presence. They do pop up at various knitting and stitching shows throughout the UK across the year, but if you want to shop there and it's worth a trip, then you have to actually go to West Yorkshire to get these fabrics. So this is the second time of me filming this video, and the first time I had been extremely restrained and I'd not cut anything out before I filmed it. Then the file corrupted and now I have cut something out before I filmed it. So the first two things that I've got to show you are two jerseys, two cotton jerseys, one in white and one in what I'm going to call a summer navy, because I guess this is a navy colour, I would call it a dark navy, and clearly this is kind of the same sort of colour if you see it on its own, but when you put it next to something similar you can see it's much a lighter shade. So I'm going to call it summer navy. Doesn't really matter, does it? So these are a drapey cotton jersey with a little bit of elastane. So I bought a metre of the white and the blue. I don't know they came from the same supplier, but they feel similar, other than the fact that one's had a dye treatment and one hasn't, because one's the white state. Yeah, they're very similar weight, and they were £5.50 a metre, which for the Shuttle is towards the expensive area because it deals in a lot of remnants, it deals in a lot of end of line, designer, surplus, that kind of thing, so often very good prices. But this is not one of those. This is kind of a bought in because they want a basics range, which is what I was looking for. So yeah, that's the summer navy, and then the white I have cut some out of already, but I'll show you it anyway. There's a bit left actually. These are both for t-shirts. This white one I am having another go at the Jane t-shirt from Seamwork. I feel like it should work. So if you didn't see my video recently, I'll put a link in the comments and maybe at the end of the video. But I had a bad experience trying to use that pattern. It just came out massive. So I have sized it right down. I have bought some more fabric and we're going to try it again. So we'll see. The other one, it's going to be a t-shirt, but maybe not the same pattern. I've got a different pattern from Schnitzen Pattern, which has a raglan sleeve and slightly drapier sleeves. And because this fabric, both the white and the navy, is so drapey, I was thinking I might take advantage of that. So still fairly basic, but just a slightly different shape for the navy t-shirt. Now, after my recent experience with my Jenny overalls, again, I'll put a link down below if you haven't seen, but basically I made something that I loved, then I washed it and it shrank. That's the short version. So I pre-washed this fabric. So everything that you see today has been diligently pre-washed, and so fingers crossed won't go wrong. But just out of interest, I decided, because I'm like that I would measure them before and after, so I could let you know kind of how much shrinkage I was experiencing. So with the t-shirting, the white one started out 108 centimetres long, ended up 104, so that's 4 centimetres shrinkage. Started out 161 and seemed to get wider by 3 centimetres, so I'm not really sure whether I measured that wrong, or maybe it did stretch wider. It's possible because it's a stretch fabric. So there's about 4% shrinkage across the width with that white one, which if you're making something with negative ease, so you're making something that is smaller than your body and deliberately has to stretch to fit, that 4 centimetres could make a difference. Or that 4% could make a difference. And then the navy one was similar, started out 113 and ended up 110. And that one seemed to shrink 4 centimetres across the width as well. So they're both getting smaller when I wash them the first time. So yeah, it's worth bearing in mind. So that's 2 bits of jersey. Next fabric. The next fabric, can you see a colour theme? Yes, you can, because there is one. So the next fabric is this, which is quite a similar colour to my t-shirt, but it's a very different fabric. This is a shirting fabric, so it's cotton. I'm not sure if it's 100% cotton or if it's a poly cotton, but it feels a really nice quality and really nice weight shirting fabric, so I'll let you have a look at that. So it's a solid navy colour. Again, it's been pre-washed, ironed, dried in the tumble dryer just in case it's going to shrink any more. So my clothes sometimes get line dried, sometimes get tumble dried. So when I'm pre-washing, I tumble dry them because that is more likely to shrink them if they're going to shrink. So I bought, there you go, there's a full amount of the fabric. You can see it's got a fairly good drape. It's not as fluid as the jersey. You wouldn't really expect that with a non-stretch cotton shirting. It's heavier than a cotton lawn, so I guess I'd say it's a cotton poplin. It's about the next weight up. It's definitely not stiff, but it's not drapey. It's made for shirts, so it's shirting. I bought, how much did I buy of this? So I think I asked for 1.8 metres, but it was cut at 199 centimetres. So, you know, most fabric shops cut slightly longer than you ask, because once it's cut, you can't uncut it. So this started out 199 centimetres long and ended up 190. So again, it's about, if you're going to be really picky, it's 4.5% shrinkage. Stayed the same width though, so it did shrink along the length. And that, you know, depending on what you're making, 4% shrinkage could make the difference. If you're making a cropped shirt and you want it a particular length, if that then shrinks and gets shorter the first time you wash it, might not be what you were aiming for. I think the pattern I'm going to use for this is going to either be the Granville shirt from Sewaholic, because I have made that shirt before and so I know it fits because I've been through kind of the fitting stage with that pattern. I want a fairly formal shirt, but I do like popover shirts, so like half plackets where the buttons stop halfway down. So I could either do a hack on the Granville so that the buttons just go halfway down, or I might use the Calais shirt, or I could use the Pauline Alice and not do the pleated bib. I'm not sure. Those are 3 patterns that I'm familiar with. If I branch out, then I would go for the Archer shirt, which I think is from Grainline Studio. So those are my 4 possibles. I think the Granville is the front runner at the moment. This isn't at the front of the queue. Those t-shirts are at the front of the queue because I really need some basic t-shirts. So it's kind of probably after those. Depends where the mood takes me. I'm not big on having hard and fast plans, because the best way to make me not want to do something is to say I'm definitely going to do it. It's just the way I work. Next piece of fabric is also some shirting. I was looking for white shirting, okay, and I picked it up and I got the roll out and I thought, oh yeah, that's white shirting. And then you get to the fold, the centre, and it's not just white. I did know this before I bought it, but they didn't have any plain white shirting. And I have one white shirt which I think might date back to when I used to have a proper job, which is getting on for 12 years ago now. It's 11 and a half years ago since I had an office job anyway. So yeah, I've had it a long time and it is really, really formal, that shirt. and it's, yeah, well, white doesn't always stay white, does it? And it doesn't fit brilliantly because it's a ready-to-wear shirt, so it fits here and then it's too small on my hips. That's the way it always goes with my body. So I want a basic white shirt, but unfortunately at this stage I don't have a basic white fabric. I have a white fabric that has a really nice blue stripe down the middle. So you can see, I hope, that the stripe fades out. It fades out with the threads getting further and further apart and lighter in colour. Okay, the width, there's my hand, so the width is about the width of a hand between the two. So I'm pondering on what to do about it. I love that colour, sort of a sky blue. It's like a really pure blue sky colour, really nice. So I set out to get a plain white shirt, but this is the fabric that I decided to buy. Again, these two shirtings were, I think, about £5.50. I forgot to say with the navy, but I think they were both about £5.50. I'm thinking that what I might do with this blue is put a broad band down the back of the shirt. Maybe use some on the inside of the collar stand, because I'm unlikely to wear the collar stand completely done up, so you'll get a flash of the blue on the inside, and maybe the underside of the collar, so kind of in little secret places as you look at the shirt at the front, and then in the back of the shirt there'd be a broad band down the back. That's what I'm thinking, maybe. I think there is enough width in the white, especially if I use a pattern like the Granville, which the back is in 3 sections, so the actual pattern areas are small, so you can be a bit more clever about how you piece it. I could just make it white and completely ignore the fact that there is blue there, but it is a beautiful blue colour, so I think I want to play with it and use it. But you can tell from the way I'm talking, I'm still kind of working it out, and I think until I cut it I'll still be umming and ahhing on options until I have to commit and put the scissors in the fabric. The other strange thing about this, maybe this is how it ended up being a kind of a shuttle and not used in a manufacturer, but I folded this when I washed this and ironed it. I folded it so that the band was right on the fold, so that if I do decide to cut out and I want the band down the centre back, it's all prepared. But at this end you can see that one selvage is here and one selvage is there, so the band itself is not printed down the centre of the fabric. This is the same sort of weight, really nice shirt weight. There's a slight sheen to it, like it's not a cotton sateen, but it's got a tiny bit of a sheen to it, like that kind of fabric, because I think it's called when they mercise the thread. There is a technical process where the thread is treated so that it gets very smooth and slightly shiny before it's woven. Yeah, but I don't know, that's what's happened with this, but it's got that kind of really smooth, silky feeling without having it's not a shine, it's not a satin, not even close. So there we go, that is fabric number 4. And then blue again, of course. Yeah, there is a theme, I've said that already. This is a completely different weight of fabric, okay? So you can see it's got much more open weave. There's a selvage, quite a nice selvage. I think it's a cotton, possibly a cotton linen blend, or possibly a linen polyester blend. This was a remnant, so I am not aware of what exactly it is. One thing I learned from pre-washing is this is going to fray like mad if I don't finish the edges, so that's worth bearing in mind. It's something you learn when you pre-wash, is just how badly the edges are going to behave in general usage. And this stuff, when, you know, this is one wash and that's what it was doing, so you need to bear that in mind. And I do always finish the inside of my garments anyway, but I would absolutely have to with this fabric. So yeah, the reason why I think it's possibly got linen content in it is because this has been ironed, but if I then scrunch it and unfold it, it gets creased quite easily. So that's my detective work. This is bottom weight, as in it's good for going on your bottom. And I think it's got a pair of trousers in its future. I think there is 2 meters, so let's see. The white shirting shrank by 5 centimeters, by the way, and 4 centimeters across the width. So that was across 2 meters, so it's only about 2.5% shrinkage, but still there was shrinkage. This stuff started out 217 centimeters long and ended up 211, so about 3% shrinkage. Started out 156 wide and ended up 149, so that's 7 centimeters over 1.5 meters, so rough maths, about 4% shrinkage. And that's quite significant. So if you're making some nicely fitted trousers and then suddenly they shrink by 4% when you wash them, they could go from nicely fitted to way too tight and bulgy. So you must pre-wash your fabric. I'm just talking to myself after my last traumatic experience. I knew it already, but sometimes you have to remake the mistake to remind yourself why you already knew it. In terms of what pattern, it depends how I'm feeling. The Jenny overalls can be just made as trousers, and so they're a contender. The Thurlow trousers I have made multiple times. So Jenny overalls is from Closet Case Patterns. Thurlow trousers are from Sewaholic. Thurlow trousers are my tried and true trouser pattern. They're a wide leg trouser, sit a few inches below the natural waist, but not too low. And I know they fit because I've been through that journey. So those 2 patterns, I know they fit. Probably I'd make the Thurlows, and the only thing that would make me hesitate doing that is because am I being super boring just making the same trousers all the time. But I know I can whip them up without having to worry about making a toile. I just know they work. And then I'm thinking about trying the Lander pants, mainly because everybody in the universe seems to have tried the Lander pants and seems to love them. The only thing that makes me hesitate is the same as I said with the shirts. Do I want to go through the fitting stage? And it depends what way out I feel when I get to cutting those trousers out. Am I in a mood to tackle fitting or not? Moving on. So my second to last is related to my last. Even though this one is from the shuttle, still everything has been so far, but the next one is not. The next one is the eBay purchase. So this is, again, it didn't really come with a description, but I'm calling it a white gauze. You can see it has quite a lot of transparency, so you can see the dark t-shirt, and then you can see my skin under it. So if I'm going to use it as a garment, I either need to wear a vest under it or I need to use it double layer, because if I double layer it, you can still just about see, but it's definitely wearable double, or I would have to wear a vest under it, and either is fine. There was 2.73 meters, so nearly 3 meters of this white gauze fabric. It's very drapey, probably cotton, I think. Again, frayed quite a lot when it was washed. Lots of nests and strings on there. So it's going to need its edges finishing, and given how lightweight it is, that's probably going to mean French seams rather than overlocking, but depends on the garment. There's a lot of it, and it was a remnant. I wouldn't have bought this much for my original purpose, which was to line the next fabric, if it hadn't been a remnant. And it was super cheap. It was maybe £5 for the 2.73 meters, so that's like £2 a metre or something. It didn't shrink that much actually, so which is surprising if it is a cotton. 2.73 it started out and ended up 2.7, so hardly any shrinkage across, given that that's across nearly 3 meters, that's like 1%. And it did shrink 4 centimeters across the width, which is about 2.5% shrinkage across the width. So a little bit, but that's this. Now this I bought to line my last and final fabric, which is the special one. So this is not really summer basics, but it's still fairly monochrome. It is a Liberty silk. I bought some Liberty silk. Yes, I did. I've got an addiction now and it's going to be hard to stop. So here we go, some Liberty silk chiffon. Clearly very transparent because it's chiffon. The fabric is quite abstract, kind of a bit feathery, a bit wavy. It's in black and white. Yeah, this was from an eBay seller who must get end of rolls, or this. It's clearly a discontinued print because it was £15 for 2 meters. Super bargain. So that's £7.50 a metre. The silk chiffon from Liberty is their least expensive line as far as I know, certainly least expensive silk, because I think its regular price is only about £20 a metre. But yeah, £7.50 a metre is quite a substantial discount on that, and I deliberately bought it because it's going to be hard to sew with. And yeah, that felt like a good idea at the time. I haven't ever sewn with chiffon, and I haven't ever sewn with silk either, so I just thought I'd tick them both off at once. It's going to need some careful handling because it's going to be slippy. It's not actually silky in a sense of being shiny, and it has got quite a grip to it, but it's so floaty, it's going to try and float away from the sewing machine needle. So I'm going to have to do a bit of research about techniques for how to sew with this stuff. I've got a few in mind, but like I said, I've never put any of them into practice. So I will do my best to share those with you when I get around to sewing this. And I did anticipate, because it was chiffon, that I would need to underline it. So that was what the fabric before was for. So if I try and do this on my arm. There's the white gauze, and there is the fabric underneath. And then without the lining, let go of the white. So there. Yeah, again, I would have the option to not sew it like that and to just have a vest underneath. So I need to decide. And one of the things that's going to lead that decision is something I need your help with, please. I don't know what I'm going to make with this. I know I want it to be a blouse, but I don't know which pattern at all. I don't think it's going to be something I already own. I did originally think, oh, should I make a Granville shirt with it? But that feels like trying to shove a round peg in a square hole, because it's such floaty fabric and the Granville is a fairly formal shirt. Yeah, I think I'd be forcing it to be something it doesn't want to be. And that's something I've done before and regretted. It's kind of a bad habit of mine of not letting the fabric tell me what it wants to be. So it's not going to be something that's super structured, because it's not that kind of fabric. I want it to be a blouse, probably a blouse with sleeves of some kind. So what pattern should I choose? You can help me choose. Let me know in the comments down below what you think this should become. And then we'll see what your great wisdom helps me to choose. And I'll make you a video about making it. I'm not sure, but it is lovely. And it's going to be a good learning curve for me to learn how to sew with the chiffon. I'll need to do that on a brave day, won't I? That has also been pre-washed, so it might be silk, it might be from Liberty, but it has to live in my house by my rules, so it went in the machine. I do have a silk setting, which is like 30 degrees and a really short wash with hardly any spin. It dried in about 10 seconds, just line dried. I didn't put it in the tumble dryer, wasn't quite that harsh, because it's so floaty. It dried very quickly, and it started out at 208 centimetres and ended up being about 202 centimetres, so about 3% shrinkage in length and about 2% shrinkage in width, so not a lot, didn't shrink a lot. And the fact that I've now pre-washed it, I know it stands pre-washing, I know it stands going in the washing machine, so that is all good because I'm not for dry cleaning. I would love to have any comments from you down below, especially about patterns, either about the pattern for the silk or patterns for anything that I've shown you. There might be wonderful patterns out there that I don't know about. This is entirely possible. So let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got this far in the video and you're not a subscriber, please click subscribe. A button will appear when my face disappears, and there will also be some links to other videos on my channel that come up here in just a moment. Thanks very much. See you again soon. Bye.